Well, it was certainly an interesting week last week at the Oklahoma House of Representatives, and we discussed one of the major policy issues Governor Fallon and the Republican legislative leadership have been pushing the last couple of years, and that's tax reform in Oklahoma. House Bill 2032 discussed tax cuts which would reduce Oklahoma's income tax down initially to 5.0% and then further with triggers down to 4.85%. In that same bill is included language that would provide for funding for capital repairs. The following are clips from debate from Representative Scott Martin from Dorman, the chair of the Appropriations Committee, who was in favor of the bill, and then comments from myself with concerns about the bill. I hope you'll gain some knowledge from that, and certainly would appreciate any input.
Representative Dorman, you're recognized for 3 minutes and 45 seconds, debating against passage of acceptance of Senate Amendments 2032.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank the gentleman from Tacoma for some other legislation he has authored this year. Ties in with this. He's offered to try and build up the pay for our state employees, for corrections, and for public safety. You know, the FFA kids were in here, and one of the lyrics from one of the lines from one of the songs I sang, plenty of heart and plenty of hope. Well, our state employees don't feel like there's a lot of heart and a lot of hope coming out of this building whenever they haven't had a pay raise for years. And the reason they haven't had a pay raise is because we haven't dedicated that revenue, and now we're about to decrease that revenue. But honestly, I do have a little bit of hope. I have a hope in a guy named Jerry Fent, who has sued time and again under Article 5, Section 57 of the Constitution in regards to log rolling. This is not a general appropriations bill. This is not a general revenue bill. This bill has two topics in it. It is going to go to the Supreme Court. It is going to get thrown out. I don't know why this is a safety mechanism for us to go back to our constituents and say, those of us that voted yes on this, we voted for a tax cut, but we knew full well that it was going to get thrown out by the Supreme Court. And those mean old justices, they're the ones that cost you a tax cut. And that's why you should work to vote against them whenever it comes up in the next election. They're not the bad. We're not the bad guys. They're the bad guys because they're simply doing their job and making us uphold the Constitution. The gentleman from Norman who's authoring this bill, or at least presenting this bill, said that we needed the revenue for the construction of this building. I completely agree. I think we should take the money from the upcoming revenue that would be offset by this tax cut and use it for repairs in the Capitol. We are going to have future expenses that we're going to have to cover. I have lived through 2 revenue shortfalls, and as much as a lot of you would not like to admit it, the stimulus money helped our state a great deal in preventing severe cuts. The $600 million we had in the rainy day fund and the $600 million we got from the federal government saved a lot of jobs in our state. And we didn't see a lot of budget cuts. We didn't see a lot of reduction in the size of government when it came to making those decisions. We gladly took that money, we spent it, and we kept government at that high level. But now we're going to force a situation by doing a revenue cut. Reasonable economists will state that you get 50 cents back on the dollar for every tax cut you make. So you can figure out the math there. Kansas, who we compared ourselves with last year, competing with Kansas on a tax cut, they're rating a children's fund of $9.5 million to help balance their budget because they made a stupid decision last year. They were idiots when it came to balancing their budget. And we wanted to do the same thing they did. Unfortunately, right minds prevailed in this legislature last year and stopped that from happening. We have the chance to do this again. We can reject these amendments from the Senate. We can send this thing to conference, and we can send out a bill that will require that we take care of the Capitol. The tax rates, if you're interested in them, the savings we're going to see, it's minuscule compared to what the citizens of Oklahoma want. For a $40,000 income, married, 2 kids, they're going to save $22. $40,000, married, no kids, $27. Single, no kids, $60. Single, 1 kid, $34. That's not what Oklahomans want. They want us to take care of our business and fund government properly.
Time. Representative Martin Scott, you're recognized for 10 minutes, closing debate in favor of passage of House Bill 2032.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, we find ourselves here again at this debate about whose money really is it? Is it our constituents' money, or is it the state's money? That's really what this debate is really truly about, and it is a philosophical agreement. I appreciate my colleagues who have debated for this particular initiative. They've done a fantastic job of outlining the facts and just exactly what a tax cut will do for the economy of our state. And I appreciate the minority leader. I appreciate his passion. I appreciate his dedication. I know it's pure from his heart. If we were so reliant on gross production taxes, if that was what caused the tank, that was the bottom fell out on gross production taxes, why in the world would we have $212 million of growth revenue today? Gross production taxes are vitally important to our Oklahoma economy. They certainly are, but they're not the only thing. We have enjoyed fantastic success. I've already mentioned this, and I hate doing this just because we've had this debate already once this session, so I hate to go over this again, but it bears repeating. We have one of the fastest growing economies in the country. The 8th lowest unemployment. We're creating jobs unlike most states would only dream of right now in all sectors. People want to be in Oklahoma for a myriad of reasons. Now, I guess the question comes down to, what do you want more of? Because I wonder if my friends on the other side of the aisle, it's more, more, more. Well, maybe the taxpayers are saying, I want more of my own money. And maybe it's incumbent on us to do that, to give them more of their own money. Many of you who know me know that I'm a big fan of Star Wars. If you come into my office, you're going to see a little plaque on the credenza that says, "Do or do not. There is no try." Today, folks, is the time for us to make it happen. We have an opportunity. This is not for politics. It's for all the right reasons. And I ask you to join me in doing two fantastic things. Two fantastic things. One, use potential income tax to fix one of the greatest symbols of our state, this Capitol. That's kind of been left out of this whole debate, is we have an opportunity to fix this building with this bill. Let's do it. And the other is to give tax relief to our constituents. And in doing so, Mr. Leader, we can do the things that you talked about. We have made great strides. It's not by coincidence that every year we cut taxes, we appropriated more money. It's a dynamic effect that happens every time we do it. While I wish that somebody could point out that this was somebody's dream world, it's just not the case. The facts are, it happened and it worked. I ask you to join me today to do the right thing. Let's make this happen. Let's not only fix this Capitol, but let's give meaningful tax relief to our constituents, which will in turn help drive this economy even further than it is today. Thank you very much and appreciate your yes vote.
Now, if you want to go back and see the entire debate, you can go to the Oklahoma House of Representatives website, www.okhouse.gov, and type in HB 2032, no space in between the letters and the number, and it will pull up the bill history and the video where you can watch the entire discussion. It's quite lengthy, but I think you will get a lot of that from the different perspectives, and hopefully you'll learn a little bit, and certainly, again, as I said, would love your input. And anytime you want to go back and look at specific bills, that's how you review the video history. So enjoy, and I will see you next week.